Today I'm going to be giving you guys the ultimate guide to displacement mapping, and we're going to be breaking down different effects and different ways that you can implement them into your workflows. Displacement maps are pretty much essential if you are a visual effects artist, and if you guys don't already know this, pretty much every single movie that you've seen that involves any kind of advanced visual effects involves displacement mapping. So if you see in a sci-fi movie some lasers being shot or some shockwaves around a big event, typically they're going to be using displacement maps to simulate heat and to simulate the air being warped. And you can use displacement mapping and matte layers in tons of different creative ways. So let's just hop right into it. So for my first demonstration, I'm just going to bring in this psychedelic background right here, and I'm going to drag this behind my subject right here. I'm going to speed this effect up. I'm going to right click, go to time, and then time stretch this to 50%. And you guys don't need to buy effects or plugins for this. You guys can use the built-in displacement mapping effects in After Effects, which is what we're going to do here. So I'll add on displacement map, and then I'll just make this psychedelic background invisible, and then I'll come up here and click wrap pixels around. That's just going to get rid of any unwanted black edges around the edges, and then I'll set the displacement map layer to the psychedelic map here. And when it comes to these displacement mapping effects and plugins, if you guys see this up here, which is your input on any of these effects, so like Sapphire Distort, Chromatic Displacement from Red Giant, Sapphire Distort Chroma, Displacement Mapping, Displacer Pro, all of these are going to have the same thing in common, which is this input up here. And then typically they're all going to have this option right here where you can change it from center map to stretch map to fit. So just click that right there as well. And then as you increase the max horizontal and vertical displacement, and so now as you can see, this psychedelic background is now implemented into the background with a displacement map. So this is super practical and super useful when it comes to visual effects, and it's really generally pretty easy, and I'm pretty shocked that not that many people use this, especially when it comes to music videos. So yeah, there you go. And then you can get some really good looks here if you just increase this or decrease it as much as you want. And then if you change this to tile map, you're going to get a bunch of duplicates essentially of this effect to get some more unique looks. But typically I just like to do stretch map to fit. Video editors, do you want to save time and make more money from your clients? Well, there's already a bunch of free editing packs on our site that will help you do that. But we're now putting all of our assets into one bundle of over 3,000 assets: overlays, transitions, animations, mixed media assets, 2D and 3D assets, title presets, shockwave, sound effects, textures, and much more. All you have to do is drag and drop and you're done. They work with all editing software and you get lifetime updates. These assets are also created and used by some of the best professionals in the editing industry. And whether you edit music videos, YouTube videos, short films, commercials, this pack is for you. Everything is in 4K quality, and there's tons of tutorials on our channel that will help you use them. The only catch is that it's already 70% off, and if you use code SAVETIME, you'll get another 20% off of your purchase. We hope you find this well, and have a good one. And let's try another one. So I'm going to just delete this one, and I'll drag in this one and just bring it underneath my layer. And then I'm just going to speed this up by right clicking, going to time and time stretch. And I'll just put that on like 10%. So it just speeds it up a whole lot. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll just come down here and set this to the psychedelic map, make that invisible. And there you go. Now you have something really unique for your next music video. And yeah, that looks absolutely crazy. So now something that I like to do is I like to add on RSMB, as you can see here. And essentially what that's going to do is add some real smart motion blur. So I'll just zoom in to show you a good idea. So this is with motion blur and this is without motion blur. You can see a really big difference. It's just going to blend those layers together and make it look more realistic, you know, even though we're not going for realism here. And let's try out another one here real quick. So what we can do is just delete the displacement map, and let's try chromatic displacement from Red Giant, the VFX suite, and then just change that to the correct layer. And as you can see here, like this is another effect that has the same input and has the same stretch map to fit effect here. And then as you just increase the displacement amount, you get the same effect just with some different RGB and some different color variation here. And you can also change that with these values right here. Yeah, you see, there you go. You have a really cool, another unique effect here. So now I'm just going to drag in this shockwave from my shockwave pack. But if you wanted to use this with a displacement map, what you could do is just set it to the correct spot. So something like that. And then you can pre-compose that layer with Control-Shift-C. Move all attributes into the new composition. And then on the bottom layer, I'll add on the displacement map, set this to the shockwave layer, make that invisible, and then displace it once you set it to fit. And there you go. Now you're using that to create a really cool shockwave effect. So here's a perfect idea for what you can do. So you can add on this here, the shockwave, and then you could also add on the displacement map, which is realistically creating these warps in the air. So it's like, that's exactly what I mean when you see this kind of stuff. Like if you watch Star Trek or Star Wars or something and you see lasers being shot, visual effects artists do this in almost every single shot. And then obviously I got these black edges up here, so just click wrap pixels around. I forgot to do that, and then that'll fix that. And let's try that with chromatic displacement. And look at that. I mean, that looks really cool. That's like a perfect example of what you can use this effect for. And then if I just blast up the displacement amount, it still gives a really cool look depending on just how intense you want that to be. And with that, it just accommodates really well. And what you can do is press T on your keyboard to bring up the opacity for the shockwave, and then just bring that down until it blends really well with the displacement mapping effect. And there you go. You already have some cool like little effects right there. And if you guys like these shockwaves, make sure to check it out on my website. There's tons of shockwaves in there that you can use for practical effects for music videos, or if you're doing some higher production things. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. May God bless your heart, mind, body, soul, spirit. Peace out.